On a near daily basis, the internet reminds me, let us not go to the internet, for it is a silly place. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick, and I'm just gonna start this one off by just reading the tweet that was subtweeted this morning on a Bills account I follow, because it is just, it's something. Perhaps I'm not going to read it because I can't find it. Anyways, essentially, the thrust of the tweet was this: are you or your friend secretly attracted to underage women specifically? It's almost always related to the women folk. So, to the women folk who are about to be horrified by what comes next, I apologize. Are you secretly attracted to underage women? We need to get rid of this stigma as a society. Kid you not. Women should be married by 12. The remainder of the sentence, number one, there was more. It got weirder. It descended rapidly into madness. So their first egg doesn't go to waste, as though they were a chicken, and as though humanity didn't have rules about these sorts of things for many, many good reasons. Spiritual reasons, we can start there. That's bad. Criminal reasons, we can also start there, but just sort of common sense reasons too. Things that make us, I don't normally believe in the ick, like things in giving me the ick. That gives me the ick. Gives me the ick. And not, to be clear here, the unnamed implicated minors in this tweet are not to blame. Frankly, they are hopefully not aware of this tweet and are far, far away from the man who made the tweet. But that being said, it is becoming all too common on the internet that this opinion starts to pop up, and it started gently enough. I'm going to say etymology, even though that's specifically about words. But I'm going to say etymology. The etymology of this thought sort of goes back to the Andrew Tates of the world, who advocate specifically for older men to date younger women. Now, at the time, the argument was, well, they're specifically referring to, yes, younger, but they're referring to women who are above the age of consent, meaning that they are well above the age of consent. In New York State is weird. New York State lowered the age of consent to 17. In other states, it's even lower. That's a debate for another day. But this comment advocates for a return to a time way back when humanity only lived to be so old. Like, if you only live on average to be 30 years old, sure, you could make the argument then that, 15 is the proper age for folks to get married. We're living to be like 150 now. Also, the people marrying the 15-year-olds back in the day were typically other 15-year-olds. We weren't marrying off 40-year-old men to 15-year-olds, and if we did, that was the stuff of horror. Even back then. Nobody liked doing it back then. They still did it. Some countries, they still do it. And this is not a shot, to be clear, this is not a shot at members of the Islamic faith. Just because you happen to share a faith with somebody who does wicked, wicked things does not mean that you are to blame for the other person who does wicked, wicked things. This thought started and has now crept farther and farther into the zeitgeist. The problem is the things that start on the edges slowly work their way into the middle. And this is where we're starting to hit that slippery slope. It wasn't, to be clear, I'm not saying it was gay marriage. It was transgender issues. This is not what I'm saying, because those things are very, very different. The age of consent issues with transgender, I'm trying to find the right word to say because I'm not as well educated on the subject as I should be. But age of consent issues with that typically have more to do with the receiving of gender affirming care, particularly permanent gender affirming care. That's not a topic I'm going to try to address on my podcast because typically I only have 10 minutes and I'm already 5 minutes in. But to be clear, the LGBTQIA, however many letters have been added to it today that I don't know, I'm just going to end it with plus. The LGBTQIA plus community, this is not their fault. This is not on them. This is on the Andrew Tates of the world who continually push down and say to men who are disenfranchised, to men who are lonely, hey, you're lonely because these women, they're too old. They can't understand a man like you. You need a young woman. You need a young woman who's pure and virginal, ignoring the fact that the woman's agency in this matter is completely removed, and she's made no more than a caricature. I'm not a woman. I'll have to bring a woman on to talk about that, because for me, with my beard, to talk about such things would be patently ridiculous. But for the moment, let's just blame Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate has sort of driven the conversation down and opened the door for the normalization of this. And this is a big issue. Look, a 10-year age gap is not a huge deal. But it's not a huge deal if you're 35 and she's 25, right? You both have had a little life experience at that point, and I don't mean sleeping around. What I mean is you both have had a little life experience. You both at least know what's up in the world, and you can freely make a decision. If you're 25 and the girl of your dreams is 15, go to a hospital. Go to a hospital, get yourself checked in, and get yourself checked out, because you have some tendencies that you may wish a doctor to review, and to review carefully, because, brother man, they do not like pedophiles in jail. And that is what you are. I do not care how happily or loudly the 15-year-old you love bomb consents. It's a matter of a power disparity that you are leveraging and playing way to your advantage. And it's not great. Don't do it. But this is entering the zeitgeist, and I can already see it happening, and it needs to stop. It needs to be stopped. How do we stop it? Number one, when you see it, call it out as unacceptable. Like, don't even make a joke about it. Don't laugh about it. Don't be like, oh my God, that's so weird. Like, no, like, ew, gross. No, say, I can't. If I swear, I'm probably going to get content banned, but just say no. Or just move on. Block the person. Move on. Report them to an authority of some variety, and not Meta or X, because they are not authorities. They're companies. Like, what, you're going to report? You're going to report them to Microsoft? No. Call the police. Or report them to the police. Send them to the police. The police have hotlines for these sorts of things. Send the tweet. Send the clip. Like, let's cut this off at the pass, because this is bad news. Like, all of those who have children, want to raise their children in a world where they can believe their child is reasonably safe. And the argument somebody made to me once, and I've seen being made, it's not just made to me, I've seen conventions for this sort of thing. Pedophiles, essentially in name only, who they look but they don't touch. That's not better. It's not better. No, having pictures of little children and just looking at them saying, well, that's, it solves the problem because I don't hurt anyone. You do. You do. That's hurting people. Having a picture of somebody without their consent, that is hurting them. That, especially a minor. It's one thing to have a picture. It's one thing to buy a magazine of a model who consented to the photo and got paid for it. It's another thing to have a very sexualized picture of a 15-year-old just in your possession. Don't do that. That's not a thing. Get rid of it. Not only get rid of it, check into a hospital. There is something wrong with you. Look, this is simple. Don't do it. Jeffrey Epstein had a whole private island for it, and he went to jail and he killed himself. Guys, nothing good happens to you if you are this way. And it can be fixed with a little dosage of a doctor's intervention and a little dosage of some, I'm just going to say it, brother, you need Jesus. If that's you, you need Jesus. I'm out of time because this got me going. And now I can't even say phrases like that. Like that ruined it. That ruined it for me. I can't even say phrases like that when I'm discussing this topic. It got me mad. It got me angry because this is like, no, just stop. Report it to the cops. Report it to the police. Report it to somebody. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.